welcome to Radio Friends on Friday, June the 19th. Our singer, songwriter, storyteller, Larry Brown is with us.
Good morning.
Welcome, Larry. And we're going to deal with Father's Day, right? This coming Sunday is Father's Day.
It is, yes.
And we think it's also the first day of summer, June 21st. But sometimes it's June 22nd.
Oh, you know, the Earth and the sun and the moon, they have these relationships that don't necessarily fit our calendars.
Right. All right, so Father's Day is June 21st, this coming Sunday. You're going to tell a story or sing a song?
It will be a story. It'll be a story about a father and some sons.
Okay.
It's an ancient story.
Do you want to start it now?
Well, I'll tell the story, and then I think we'll have some time maybe to
Okay, so
talk
here
about
is Larry Brown with a Father's Day story about a father and two sons, and this goes back many, many years.
At least 2,000 years old story.
Okay.
Yeah. There was a father who had two sons. The younger son said to the father, "Give me my share of the property that will come to me." And so the father divided the property between the two of them. A few days later, the younger son gathered all he had and moved to a distant country where he squandered his property with dissolute living. When he'd spent everything, there was a great famine that went throughout that country, and he was in great need. So he hired himself out to a citizen of that country who sent him out to the field to feed his pigs. He would have gladly filled himself with the pods that the pigs were eating, and no one gave him anything. When he came to himself, he said, "All my father's hired hands have bread to spare, and here I am dying of hunger. I'll go to my father, and I'll say, 'Father, I've sinned against heaven and before you. I'm not worthy to be called your son. Treat me as one of your hired hands.'" So he went to his father. But when he was still far off, the father saw him and was filled with compassion. The father ran to him, wrapped his arms around him, kissed him. And the son said, "Father, I've sinned against heaven and before you. I'm not worthy to be called your son." But the father called for his servants and said, "Bring a robe, the best one, put it on him, a ring on his finger, sandals on his feet. Kill the fatted calf, for we will eat and celebrate. This son of mine was dead but has come alive, was lost and found." And they began to celebrate. The elder son was in the field, and as he approached the house, he heard music and dancing. And he turned to one of the servants and says, "What's going on?" And the servant said, "Your brother has come, and your father has killed a fatted calf, for he has gotten your brother safe and sound." Then the elder brother was angry and refused to come in. But the father went to him and began to plead. But the elder son said, "Listen, for years I have worked for you as a slave. I've never disobeyed your command. And you not once have given me even a young goat that I could celebrate with my friends. But this son of yours, who has squandered, devoured your property with prostitutes, and you kill the fatted calf for him?" And the father said, "But my son, you are with me always, and everything I have is yours. But we must celebrate and rejoice because your brother was dead and has come to life, was lost and is found."
That's a beautiful story.
Now you know where that story comes from. Well, it's a Christian tradition. It's placed in the words of Jesus, and we often refer to that as one of Jesus' parables. But I told it as you pretty much would find it in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 15. It's a story that comes with a name often. It's commonly referred to as the parable of the prodigal son. Now, when it's in its context in the Christian text, it's in a sequence of 3 stories about 3 lost things. There's a lost coin, there's a lost sheep, and there's a lost son. And traditionally folks will focus on the behavior of that young son. And in those traditions, young son didn't get much of the inheritance. Older son got most. And so in this story, the son is actually saying to the father, I wish you were dead, because I want my inheritance now. And so the story often focuses on the behavior of that son, but you know what that story is mostly about. It's the father.
Yeah.
It's the incredible compassion of this father to take a son who's already said, I wish you were dead, and to bring him right back in. And of course, the other son, whom some scholars would say, oh, that's the real lost son. It's the one who refuses to join the party, who refuses to become a part of the family, despite the father saying, it's ours. There's a story of sometimes the parable is called the parable of the father, or the father's love.
It's a beautiful story for Father's Day. And Larry and I were talking before we came on, the fact that there's not a day that goes by that I don't think about my father and some of the things that he told me as I was growing up. And as we go through the years, you remember when you're a teenager and you think...
Oh, your father knows nothing.
No, you think you know it all,
that's
and
right.
He knows nothing. And I remember my father would tell me these things, and he'd say, someday, and Italian fathers are good at this, someday when I'm dead and gone and buried, you're gonna remember what I said, and you'll say, that old man knew what he was talking about. And I don't think there's a day that goes by that I don't say that. He knew what he was talking about, because so many of the things he told me really come back now.
And that's the difficulty for a father to convey to a child, whether it's a son or a daughter, that the value of their life experiences. Because, we as sons and daughters have our own learning to do. We don't want to be told.
Well, Larry, I want to wish you a happy Father's Day, and all of our dads out there, happy Father's Day to you. All right?
All right.
Thank you so much for coming by and sharing that story. Monday, Bill Wickersham will be with us. Our program, directed by Travis McMillan. Reynolds Journalism Institute audio is Pat Akers from KBIA. Our floor director is Lowell Thomas. And our assistant producer and guest coordinator, Uncle James Mauser. Whether your dad is with you here or if he has passed away, he's in your heart. Happy Father's Day. Bye-bye.